just a little follow-up to that. I have been in radio for 22 years. Currently, I am the co-host on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. on MPB Think Radio with none other than that gentleman down there on the end of this table, Kamel. We co-host Next Stop Mississippi. It's an events show, lifestyle show, where we stop around different events and different attractions around the state. And for the past 3 years, I have had a blast with that guy down there.
We have a blast.
We truly do. Unless you don't like a lot of hollering in your ear, if you turn us on, we can get a little loud, but we really do have fun on that show. I'm also the producer of Autocorrect and the host of Autocorrect as well with Coach Charlie Melton. That's Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. on MPB Think Radio. If you have a problem with your car, that's the show that you listen to. You call Coach. You can make any noise that you think you're hearing, and Coach will tell you exactly. He will diagnose you, and he will fix your vehicle over the phone. Now, you'll have to take it somewhere after that, but Coach Charlie Melton can get it done. And then I'm also the producer of The Sit Down with Russ Latino, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. That's where complex conversations meet real people. Real people meet complex conversations. So that's Wednesday mornings at 10, and I am the former producer, if you had heard her say, I did win a first place award with Marshall Ramsey for Now You're Talking with Marshall Ramsey that came on Mondays. Marshall has left us, and he's here today. I saw him out there today, but he is now in Oxford, Mississippi at Ole Miss. But we really do miss and love Marshall as well. So that's a little bit about me. I want to get into the panel a little bit with some giveaways. I always come bearing gifts. This is the Spirit of the South panel. And what they wrote was, through photography, cookbooks, and music, these works reveal complex archives within Southern cultural traditions, preserving authentic stories while exploring the depths of regional identity. And so that's what I'm going to ask the question. I've got 3 gifts. There are 3 regional identities that I think not only encompass the authors who have written these books and the subject matter within these books, but definitely it showcases Mississippi on the platforms that we know most. So by a raise of hand, if anybody can figure out one of those 3 identities that we have here that definitely stand out, is the reason why people would probably come here for tourism and things. Pam? Of course, Pam would say music, so she wins one of the bags. And I had 2 other hands, ma'am. Food.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes.
That is correct. And then I saw 2 other hands. Jordan, what were you going to say? The people is one, but there's another one that we're missing. What were you going to say? Literature is one. But if I could kind of gear somebody, I mean, literally Next Stop Mississippi goes around to a lot of places. And the reason why we do that is because there's some beautiful spots in Mississippi. Iuka, what you thinking? That's it, the landscape. Our landscape, our scenery, our events, things like that. That's the answer. Yay! So y'all won. So I'm excited to get this panel kicked off. Of course, this is the 3 books. Melody Golding is the author of Hometown, Mississippi. Carrie Helms Tippen is the author of Unpalatable, Stories of Pain and Pleasure in Southern Cookbooks. She's right there. And Kamel King is the co-author of Jacktown, USA, the capital city of American music. If you can, give them a round of applause. Now, I want to get into a little bit of everybody so that you know them. I was introduced, but I'd like to introduce them. Carrie Helms Tippen is Associate Professor of English at Chatham University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She is the author of Inventing Authenticity, How Cookbook Writers Redefine Southern Identity. She is a series editor of the Ingrid G. Hook series on food and foodways at University Press of Mississippi, and one of the hosts of the New Books in Food podcast from the New Books Network. Her work has been published in Gastronomica. That sounds full. Sounds filling. Food and Foodways, Southern Quarterly, and Food, Culture, and Society. Again, welcome, Carrie Helms Tippen.
Thank you.
Melody's introduction is so long, but I love her, and I am going to get through this. But Melody, I love you. I'm gonna get through a little bit. She's an author photographer and artist living in Vicksburg, Mississippi. The Smithsonian Institution National Museum of American History Archives Center acquired her solo documentary exhibit, Katrina, Mississippi Women Remember, and also her documentary photography and oral history project on panther tracked wild boar hunting in the Mississippi Delta. Do you do that on a regular, Melody?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I love this. Her photographs are on display in the Congressional Hearing Room at the Department of Homeland Security and been featured in solo exhibitions at the National Museum of Women in the Arts in Washington, D.C., and at numerous universities, colleges, and museums. She was honored by the Mississippi Humanities Council in receiving the Chair's Award for Special Achievement in the humanities, which recognizes an individual that has made special contributions to public humanities in her body of work about Hurricane Katrina, and she was awarded the Herman T. Pott Award for her book, Life Between the Levees, America's Riverboat Pilots by the Bay St. Louis Mercantile Library in St. Louis, Missouri. She's got so many other awards and commendations, which include Presidential Letter from George W. Bush, for her photography in Katrina, and so much more. And I want you to go ahead and give her a big round of applause again, Melody Golden.
And quite a fashionista.
She is a fashionista. Now, this man, I have introduced him on numerous occasions. But Kamel King, born and raised in Jackson, he attended American University in Washington, D.C., and graduated with honors from Tougaloo College of Jackson. He's a graduate of the Mississippi College School of Law, and he spent 8 years with Visit Mississippi, serving as Director of Cultural Tourism. In that time, he helped manage and grow the Mississippi Blues Trail, Country Music Trail, Freedom Trail, and Writers Trail systems. For nearly 2 decades, he has been a practicing attorney with Frasconia Law Group in Jackson, specializing in intellectual property and entertainment law, and he heads up Emerald Tiger Artist Management. It's a cutting-edge booking management firm representing today's hottest musical artists and Grammy Award winners. Give this co-host of mine a big round of applause. I cannot wait to get into these books. Carrie, Melody, and Kamel, I just cannot wait. So I wanted to start with Carrie, and just get into Unpalatable. Yeah. Unpalatable, definitely, stories of pain and pleasure in Southern cookbooks. I want you to let everybody know where your passion came for breaking down the unbroken or the unsaid history that is in Southern cookbooks.
Yeah, so I'm an English professor, and my area of interest, going through school was always Southern literature. I'm from the Texas Panhandle. I think of myself as a Southerner. I picked cookbooks as a thing to study because no one else was doing it at the moment.
Yeah.
There was a tradition of doing it with community cookbooks or deeply historical cookbooks, but no one was really looking at what cookbooks are doing right now. And I kind of come at it from a perspective as a rhetoric scholar. I'm interested in how people convince other people of authenticity in particular. In my first book, I really sort of built my argument on this idea that Southern cookbooks don't talk about the past very much because it's a difficult past.
Yeah.
Every time you talk about the deep past, you have to bring up slavery or poverty or all kinds of problems that we have in the South, and that cookbooks kind of don't do that. But the longer I worked on it, the more I realized cookbooks do that, in fact. And so mostly what I wanted to do in the book was to highlight the cookbook writers who are, I think, bravely and intelligently wrestling with the difficulties of the Southern past while also providing us with beautiful books and recipes that are delicious and stories that can remind us that there's a future and there's resilience in there too.
Yeah.
So I wanted to highlight both people who can talk about the pain, but also the way that pleasure itself can be resistance, especially if no one wants us to be happy.
Right. Now, what I wouldn't mind getting into is maybe an excerpt that you remember from one of those cookbooks where they were kind of open about it and were kind of truthful about it. Does something stand out to you in your research?
One in particular, and I don't think I actually wrote about it in this book, but in my first book, one thing that always bothered me about Southern cookbooks was ways that they would talk about slavery or the history of the slave trade in these very convoluted sentence structures. They would say things like black-eyed peas came to the U.S. from West Africa all by themselves.
Yeah.
Or like okra,
Yeah.
right? So they would identify these foods, but they would not name any human actors.
Right.
And the first time, I think it's B. Smith, wrote very directly, enslavers brought these things. And so the first time that I saw someone directly giving, identifying the agency of enslavers as doing something not magnanimous, but ended up with something delicious.
Right.
And as a writer of color, B. Smith, I think, was really taking a risk doing that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find more of those instances.
Did you ever feel like you would get frustrated if you didn't find it, if it just left it hanging like that one where the black-eyed peas came somehow? Was there frustration in this research?
Absolutely. And I think one of the most frustrating was Sean Brock, who is a pretty famous chef in the Charlotte area. He had a restaurant in Nashville too. And he has a whole section, he's talking about rice. And he intentionally keeps doing those things. He would say something like, the plantation economy did a thing, or rice in Charleston made the winners and the losers, but wouldn't really say what was really. He was trying to, I think, bring in this story, but wasn't doing it in a way that actually made it make sense. That kind of covered over. It did more obscuring than it did clarifying.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely frustrating. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask Carrie in the way I asked her when she came on the show the other day, because I did say she was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
Right.
and she's writing about Southern cookbooks. And so I wanted to know, Carrie, and let them know too, kind of where that connection happened and how you fell in love basically with this research.
Yeah, no, I'm not from Pittsburgh. I just live there.
Okay.
But I've been there for 10 years. I've been
Okay.
there a decade. I have picked up Pittsburghese a little bit. We say strange things there, too. No, but I come from the Texas Panhandle. I grew up on a cotton farm. I think my background and my childhood is not much different from anybody in the Mississippi Delta who grew up in kind of cotton agriculture.
Yeah.
And I did my best as a kid to avoid learning to cook. I thought it was, my feminist protest to
As it should have felt.
stay as far from the kitchen as humanly possible. But when I moved away from home, I got hungry. I got hungry for the food of my people. And honestly, this research started when I was teaching a course called The South in Literature and Film to students in West Virginia. And one of the things we had to do, there was a 4th credit that was like bonding it was a first-year seminar or whatever. So I had students over to my house to watch some of the films we were talking about, and I was going to feed them a Southern dinner. And the whole class was really interrogating who's defining the South and what is their definition. And we were very skeptical of how the South was being defined in these literary genres.
Yeah.
But then when I went to make a dinner, I was like, well, whatever Paula Deen says, that's probably the South. I don't know.
Just sum it all up in that.
Yeah. And so I turned those same critical questions to food culture.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that was going to be a scholarly topic, but it turns out it is. There are lots of people out there who are doing that work.
That's right.
So it was exciting to find that the things that I was interested in as a human being were also interesting to scholars, and I could get a job. That was awesome.
Yeah. What I like about your book is you definitely give credit to all of it. This isn't something that you came up with in your head. The research is extensive. It is out there. I've got to tap a little bit back to you cooking.
Yeah.
I want to know about some of the pleasures, because we talked about some of the pains that you had or encountered while researching the book. Did you take any of the recipes and try to do them on your own from this research?
That's so funny. I do research cookbooks, but I don't really look at the recipe parts. Which is so dumb because cookbook consumers don't look at the not recipe parts, right? So this is the big caveat of all my arguments is that, I don't know if anybody actually reads this part, but if they did, they would see that like there's a real argument being made and it's really difficult. I do cook. I do like to cook a little bit. I like to cook for large groups. Thanksgiving is my Olympics and that's really where I shine. But no, I don't.
You don't do it. That's okay. I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, Carrie. I am right there with you. Carrie, when it comes down to some of the other publications that you've written in, that you've had a hand in, they've all kind of been in this genre of cookbooks. What do you see on the horizon for your next project?
Oh, that's very kind. My next project, I have two things that I'm kind of kicking around. One is a handbook for cookbook writers. What I would like to do next is be the co-writer for someone's cookbook. Someone who has the recipes and has a following and they have persona, but they're not a professional writer. And I'm a professional writer and reader, and I really think I could craft a beautiful product that would do a lot of the kind of social justice work that I think cookbooks could be doing.
Yeah.
I would like to do that. And
I would love to buy that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I would love to do someone else's cookbook, and if I can't do that, then I would like to give instructions that would help that person do their thing. And then I've rediscovered recently how important Walt Whitman, the poet, is to me as a human being. And I've kind of embarked on a year-long rediscovery of Walt Whitman, the queer poet of America. And what he means to me and others. So I might be taking a left turn out of the food space, but I would like to make money as a cookbook co-writer, so call me.
Yeah, I love that. And one of those books that you can definitely get into is Unpalatable. If you want a really good read, some really good research, and some real good in-depth history about some of these items that Carrie spoke about, definitely get Unpalatable. Carrie, you're going to be at the book signing table a little later, right? If they wanted more information about you, is there somewhere they could go online?
You could Google my name. I have a really bad website. I'm on Instagram, Carrie Helms, PhD. The first 8 pages of every chapter are very consumable, and then after that it gets in the academic weeds. So tell all your friends the first 8 pages. That's what I tell my mother.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Everybody give Carrie a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, I want you to know, I know you probably, if you don't have Facebook, you don't have to go, but if you go to Facebook right now and you type my name in and you look at my profile picture, there is a beautiful photo up there.
Beautiful.
That beautiful photo was taken by none other than our next panelist, Melody Golding. Melody has an eye. Melody took my picture with her iPhone. And I was like, show me the settings you've got this set on, because my phone doesn't do this. And I am just so glad to have her here. What I really love about this book is Next Stop, Mississippi. Hometown, Mississippi by Melody Golding. If you ever needed a coffee table book where you can look inside of it and literally see places that you've gone or have not gone around this state, and you wanted to hear some of the quotes from these people, and you wanted to see people in their raw form, in their brightness, in their natural habitats, this is definitely that book. And I want to welcome her again to the Spirit of the South panel. Melody, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, through Melody's eyes over these years, especially since Katrina, you've probably seen a lot of Melody's photos. Everywhere. She gets the rawest. She gets it sometimes at its worst, but even at its worst, when she captures these images, they are at their best, if I could say that as well. Melody, I just want you to let everybody know your actual passion for sitting down and writing this, because this had everything to do with family, didn't it?
It did. It did.
Yeah, tell them, Melody.
It is an amazing book because the way it came together. The University Press has published all of my books, and of course they published this one. And my editor said, "We want you to write another book."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I don't know what I need to write another book about. Mississippi, there's so much, and all my books are about Mississippi. So I asked my oldest son, I said, "Austin, what should I write a book about?" He said, "Oh, Mom, write a book about why people." And And that was my goal. And so the University Press asked me, they gave me a list of towns. If you want to know how we came up with the towns, they gave me a list. They said,
Everybody wants to know that question. Like, what made you only pick these cities,
They gave me the list, and I went down the list, and I'd been to most of the towns, but I hadn't been to all of the towns. And, I was like, why am I going here? Why am I going there? But I can honestly say, in the 30 towns that are in this book, I was not disappointed in one town. And going into each town as a photographer, looking to, not trying to get to a restaurant, not trying to get to a bar or wherever, I went just as an observer. And every town in Mississippi that I went to is amazing. I mean, it is just, it's beautiful. It's just a plethora of color. It's like, when you open this book, it's like, have you ever walked into a flower shop and it's just full of color? Or if you open a box of crayons and it's just color, that is what I saw. I saw Mississippi. And most people, I'm guilty of it. You're going to, being from Vicksburg, if I'm going to North or South Mississippi or East or West, you get on the interstate and you get there. You miss all of these towns. You miss so much. And I was just amazed at what I saw.
Yeah.
And then the other part was I contacted people that I knew, and I said, will you give me one quote about why you live in Mississippi? Just one quote, one sentence, just one sentence. And people would send me.
Well, let's talk about Marty Stewart's foreword. No, because he did send you. He did send you. How excited were you when he said yes to
Oh,
that?
he is so generous. And, he's such a generous person and such a wonderful ambassador for the state of Mississippi. And what a good guy. We are so blessed to have him in our state. I mean, he's always promoting Mississippi.
Right.
So, yes, that was very, very kind of him.
Right.
And I appreciate it very much. But his passion for Mississippi is equal.
Yeah.
We all love Mississippi. Mississippi it's like the stepchild in America. It just has a hard time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I
And-
think I heard a amen out there from a few people. That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
and it's really not what it's painted to be. Yes,
Right.
we've had a checkered past, but I believe that the people in Mississippi are moving forward, and I saw that in each town that I went to. And this is indicative of the summer. I went in the summer, so there's no cloudy days, no rain, no cold.
I don't even know how that happened because there's rain in the summer too, but these were like perfect days for you to shoot.
There was no rain, and it was fun. It was really fun. Most of the time I was by myself, like I always am with all of my books. I was by myself, and I just kind of went, and people never see me. I'm kind of invisible, and I just work, and it's, I will tell you though, so I'm a stranger in a town, I've never been there, I've seen it on the map, go in, and you're driving along, and I'm like, hey, I don't know them. I'll never see them again. They'll probably never see me again. But what I remember about that town is I felt welcomed.
Yeah.
And that is something that is synonymous with Mississippi.
That's
It's
right.
friendly. It's a friendly state.
That's right. I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna get into some of these cities that she went to. Kamel, he's my pronunciation police officer on the show, and so
Because she butchers
he says
names
I butcher
and
names and
cities.
cities and all of that. But I practiced this table of contents already, so you don't have to worry. Belzoni, Biloxi, Bolton, Canton, Churchill. If you hear your city, I mean, shout it out. Clarksdale, Cleveland, Columbus, Flora, Greenwood, Hattiesburg, Holly Springs, Jackson, Laurel, Leland, Madison, Meridian, Natchez, Ocean Springs, Oxford, Pass Christian, Philadelphia, Port Gibson, Senatobia, Starkville, Tupelo. It's Tupelo, girl.
There go
I knew
one.
I was gonna do
There's
it.
one.
I knew I was going to do it. Vicksburg, Water Valley, West Point, and Yazoo City are the cities featured in there. Melody, go ahead and pick your favorite child out of that.
Oh, well, it would probably have to be the town that I live in, Vicksburg.
Okay, there we go. That's where my daddy's from.
And I'm from Vicksburg, so I would probably say Vicksburg. It has a lot to offer, but I'm telling you, they all stand alone on their own merits, whether they have colleges, universities, architecture, history, the arts. Maybe they have someone famous that's from there that maybe still lives there. Every town stands on its own.
Right. She's got it done so beautifully, too. Once you flip through, you will get to some of the ending pictures off of the previous town, and then you get to the next town. But the photos are beautiful. Melody has an eye for things. She really, really does. And I feel like this book definitely, if you have people over from out of town, out of state, this brings everybody together, and it definitely creates a conversation piece in the home. And so I am really, really happy to have Melody here about that. Melody, I want to talk about, too, the actual one common thread that you see in a lot of towns other than main streets. What else do you see that are common in a lot of these small towns in Mississippi?
One thing that surprised me were all of the murals.
Oh, yeah.
There are murals everywhere.
Yeah. Clarksdale is known for them.
They're everywhere. And, they told me to go to Clarksdale, and I was like, yeah, I'll go to Clarksdale, because, you've got to drive forever to get there. And it was just, when I sat down and looked at what I had taken, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just like walking into a museum.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just art everywhere. I mean, there's art in books, there's art on the wall, there's art on the street. It's color, and it's, it's alive.
Yeah.
And that's what I took back from
those towns.
From the trips that I took. It's just every town is alive.
Yeah.
You just have to look.
I love
you have
that.
to stop and smell the roses.
Did you have to pull anybody's arm to get the people to cooperate with some of these photos? You ain't got to tell all
That's a
your
yes.
secrets. She ain't got to tell all of her secrets.
No. Yes.
Yes.
I did. I got pulled over for rolling through a stop sign in one town.
Yeah.
And I had my camera in my lap, and I think the officer was maybe 12. And
That's what happens in small cities.
I had my camera in my lap, and they were like, "What is in your lap?" I said, "It's my camera," and they treated me like I had just robbed the bank.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're just gonna let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, she made it.
I had
She
a car
made it
seat
through.
in the back of my car. I mean,
She made it through. Melody, I've spoken to you before, and I'd love to keep you on a happy note, but I want to know, too, when it comes down to the accolades behind your Katrina work, because, we just celebrated that 20-year anniversary, and if you can remember back to when you took a lot of those photos, what can you take away from that, and how proud are you of your work from that period?
Well, I appreciate that question, Germaine. When I did that body of work, it was solely with the intention of capturing what was happening in Mississippi, because so much of the focus was on New Orleans, not Mississippi. And I had, at the time when I did it, I had no idea that it was going to be a traveling exhibit, a book, and become it's just walking on its own two feet.
Yeah.
And it's a huge honor for me to be at the two museums.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate them.
It's definitely something I think here in the state we're going to use for years to come, and children are going to learn from. And so thank you so much for your contribution there. And, of course, on Hometown, Mississippi. Thank you so much for that.
I'll add one thing about Hometown, Mississippi. And so if you've ever published a book, so I put it all together, gave it back to the University Press, and they send it out to readers to get their opinion. And it came back that the book was too happy from one of the readers, which I think is a good thing.
Yes.
So if you want a happy book,
Yes.
the quotes are happy, the photographs are happy, and actually the royalties from the sale of this book go to Jacob's Ladder, which is a organization, 501c organization in Pittsburgh that helps in the education of children and adults with intellectual disabilities.
That's right. Melody,
It's happy all the way around.
I love it. If they wanted more information about you, where could they go?
MelodyGolding.com.
Okay. Y'all make sure y'all get out there. If y'all want to see any of that work, there are samples. I have scoured that lady's website. But yeah, samples. And then you'll be book signing too as well?
Yes, right after
Right
this.
after this. Right after this, she'll be book signing. Well, everybody give Miss Melody Golding a round of applause.
Thank you.
All right, that's the end. Goodbye. No, I'm playing.
Exactly. You do know me.
This next book has definitely turned me, I think, into more of a music fan than I have ever been, and more of a music fan of our musicians here in the state of Mississippi. If you can tell, I've had this book for a little while. There are tabbies all over this book. I had the pleasure of reading this book and interviewing just about every single artist that was in this book, and especially for the one artist that's in here who I'm going to say I'm the number one fan of.
We know.
Is Eddie Cotton
Eddie
Jr.
Cotton.
And Kamel has to hear that every single Friday on the show as well.
Right.
But Kamel King is here with us. Of course, he is the co-author of Jacktown, USA, with Joe Lee, the capital city of America's music. It says at the bottom, the nation's most dense population of Grammy winners and nominees have come from this state. So please, anytime you hear somebody winning a Grammy, more than likely their mom and daddy came from here.
That's right.
More than likely. But Kamel, I want to get into, because you are literally a man of many talents, a lawyer, a radio host, tourism. I mean, from one thing to the next, plus you're a daddy, plus you're a husband, plus you're a son. When did you find the time to write this? That's all I'm asking.
That's a great question.
What made you want it? Because I know, you've got the connections, but what made you want to put all the connections together for this book?
Oh, great question. At our law firm, at Frascona Law Group, we mainly practice, we do all different type of practices, but our main thing is intellectual property and entertainment law. So we deal with a lot of artists, for 53 years, I've been doing it for 19 years, and we do a lot of creative things to help them along. We don't just negotiate deals and hook them up with record labels and read contracts. We have a studio within our law firm.
Okay.
So we do a lot of video shoots, a lot of photo shoots, documentaries, and things of that nature. And, when you represent these people and you hear all these rich stories, and, growing up here and hearing all the stories from my father about Lynch Street and, about Ferris Street and all of these iconic areas that just was the epicenter of music. And the culmination of it just needed to be told because, so many other people tell our story.
Yeah.
And, we've transplanted so many of our artists, so many of our authors, but especially music. When they move away, a lot of times they don't brand backwards to Mississippi. And so we don't actually know how many of these actors, how many of these musicians, how many of these artists and producers really have their roots right here in Mississippi. And so this needed to be told because we wave the flag of saying we are the birthplace of America's music. And that's the truth. There is no other state in the union. You would have to take 2 handfuls of states to put them together to get the amount of Grammy Award winners and nominees that we have. But we needed to tell our own story and tell it from ground zero of Jackson, Mississippi, and that's where Jacktown, USA came.
Yeah, I love it. Now, I'm going to ask you in the same way I asked Melody, what made you want to pick these folks?
They play good.
I love all of these people. But what made you narrow it down to, let me tell everybody, Eddie Cotton Jr., Jacktown Sons, Zach Harmon, Stevie J Blues. If you were at any of these panels earlier, you got to see some of these people. For Washington, Dexter Allen, Chad Wesley, Rashad the Blues Kid, and Benjamin Wright. What made you say these are our choices? This is what we're going to nail down.
Well, it was a collaborative effort with our law firm. But these are all clients of ours. These are all friends of ours. These are people that I've known 10, 15 years. These are people who have been my mentors. And so it was not hard to pick because they are enormously talented. I'm a fan of them, not just representing them and doing work for them, but when I go see them at shows, I lose my mind.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't hard to narrow it down because we have intimate relationships with these artists and with these groups. We spend a lot of time with them. And we are not your clinical attorneys. We get really involved with our client. In recordings, we're in studios, we're at video shoots. We help them develop strategies. We care about them as people as well as artists. And so kind of stringing this along, they were natural to be in this book.
Right, right. And let's talk about you and Joe. I mean, co-authors.
Yeah.
How did that come about and your relationship with Joe?
Because there's no way I could have written a book by myself.
No, yes, you could.
At all.
I was just going to ask you, how did you and Joe split it up?
No. Well, Joe is, man, he is such a wonderful writer. He is behind so many books that you guys have read but don't even know. Joe has written his own books, but he has also been a friend of our law firm for many, many years. He has helped Mike Frascona, who is my mentor and my boss, and as well as other attorneys in our firm, help them write books. So we have seen Joe in action for many years, and he is a wonderful guy. He has got a great heart. He's a staunch Mississippian, so he's really passionate about telling our stories.
Yeah.
And he's just my light-skinned brother.
That's all right.
That's right.
Did y'all fight because y'all were brothers on this book? Of who would take what? How did y'all split this up?
No, because Joe is one of the most easiest people to work with, and he knows my deficiencies. I talk well, I don't write well.
Yeah.
He writes well, and we just combined our efforts, and it was seamless. But more importantly, telling these real stories of these artists, getting down into where did it really come from, the common thread of church and gospel being a part of music, how they ended up emerging out of circumstances that they never should have been musicians, but ended up being preacher's sons, and, all of those different stories. He is just an expert at pulling it out, and we just enjoyed interviewing all of them.
That's what I wanted to know. Like, what was that process? How long did it take? And I mean, especially for one, let's take my favorite one, of course, Eddie Cotton.
Oh, yeah.
How long did it take to get this chapter of Eddie's out? And did y'all have fun doing it?
Lots of fun. Eddie was the longest.
Was he?
Yeah, he was, because Eddie holds a lot of his life and his experiences close to chest. Eddie doesn't trust everybody. And that's the thing that you have to realize with artists and musicians, and why God has blessed me, and I'm so blessed to be a part of the creative community, because I can't sing, I can't produce, I can't do any of that.
He can sing.
I can't sing. So just to be, accepted by, the men and women who do have this God-given talent, and for them to trust me, is such an honor and a blessing. And so, Eddie, like I said, Eddie doesn't trust many people, but we have developed a very close brother relationship and friendship over all of these years. So pulling these things out of him, I found out so many things I didn't know about these people, and I've known them 10 and 15 years.
Right. I love it, because you were going to open the floor for questions during your panel, and I never did get to ask this question.
You did not.
But I think there's an excerpt in here that I've read that actually answers the question. So I wanted to know, does Eddie Cotton Jr. pull from his life when he writes his songs? Because I listen to every single one of them, and I hope he does. And in the book, here's an excerpt that says Cotton made his first attempt at songwriting all the way back in 3rd grade. The burst of creativity stemming from being mad at a girl that paid him no attention. And here's a sample of that song.
That'll do it.
Why you think you so pretty? Why you think you so hot? Why you think you got something no one else has got? You took all my money, now you won't be my honey. So he does. And that has answered my question.
Quintessential Eddie Cotton right there.
How can you listen to Eddie tell this story and not fall out laughing and stop writing for at least an hour to discuss?
How can you listen to Eddie talk about anything and not fall out laughing? Let me tell y'all something. Eddie Cotton, amongst all of these other artists, is such a character.
Yeah,
I mean, you will never meet another man like that. He is brutally honest.
Stevie J, too.
Stevie J, yeah. Brutally honest. Some of the best people you could ever meet, but some of the most eclectic people you could ever meet, whose personalities is quite a labyrinth to go through.
Right. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to pick your favorite out of the book. What was one of your favorite chapters in the book? They're not here either, so you won't make anybody mad.
I still represent these people now, right?
You see them at 5:30 before the hot test cool down.
If I was to be honest, it would be Dr. Benjamin Wright.
Okay.
And he is not an artist, but he is an artist. Dr. Wright listen, if you didn't get to go to one of these panels, man, I hope you catch him before he gets on that flight back to LA. This is a guy who is from Greenwood, Mississippi, did not finish junior high, and went on to go to LA and be one of the real first Mississippi guys to go out to LA in the height of Hollywood building itself.
Right.
And this guy produced for, I mean, everybody you can think of, from Michael Jackson to Justin Timberlake. This guy has been the orchestra director for the Nobel Peace Prize Orchestra. He is a walking historian. He is also an ordained minister, and so is his wife. So he is a man of God. And when I call him for he never not has time for me. Yeah. And he gives out that information so generously. He is a genius of a man, and just talking to him, your IQ just grows by leaps and bounds. I would say he's the most special.
And you can definitely learn all about him in this book. Now, Kamel, I wanted to ask you, what do you hope to contribute with this book to the landscape of Mississippi, the musical landscape and all of that? What do you hope this book, and the accompanying, there's a CD, there's a documentary coming out.
I got CDs for everybody.
He does have free CDs for everybody. But what do you hope to contribute to the Mississippi landscape, music-wise or whatever, with this book?
Great question. And y'all see why Germaine is an award-winning producer and host, right? Y'all see that, right? Shout out MPB, shout out Germaine. That's a great question. What I would hope that it is another brick in the foundation of establishing Mississippi's powerhouse story. I mean, everybody knows that we've got all of this history, but we have the only other Grammy museum other than Los Angeles, right there in Cleveland, Mississippi, which I'm blessed to be on the board of. We have all these Grammy Award winners and nominees, so I just hope that this book is just one of the bricks in the foundation of establishing what our story is. We've heard so many people from so many coasts tell our stories, all these documentaries, all of these, but we don't tell it. So I just hope that the book, the CD, the documentary is just one of those bricks that we can stand on and say, this is what we claim, and we are claiming it.
Now, I want to talk about your community, and that's your community of family who has been beside you when you wrote this book, when you go through what you go through. People who I've grown to love over these past 3 years. Lee King, of course, definitely one of the mentions inside of this book as well. And then I read the dedication, and also, if you don't know, Kamel and I have won a first place MAB award together as well, alongside his daughter, Kennedy King, for a promo that we did where she wrote a letter to Santa Claus. We won first place for that this year. So I'm definitely in the family somewhat. So
most definitely.
I want to know, just going to the dedication that you wrote, when you think of how far you've progressed from being a son to becoming a man, to becoming a father, to becoming the professional that you are, what does this moment mean to you, and how has your new role of author changed you now in 2025?
How do I answer that?
Please.
It's just a blessing, having a mother who was a master teacher for 41 years, and watching the dedication she put into students and the love that she implanted into generations of students and all the hard work that went into it. And she never snubbed us at home. We got all the projects and the great food and all of the love, but she had that to give to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students. Watching my father, who came here and came off the road from working for James Brown as a teenager, and James Brown being a father figure to him, and watching him and hearing the stories, and him being my hero of all the concerts he's done and the TV show he had, and watching him manage artists, and the man of valor and the man of principle and moral that he would always tag me along, it just made me the man that I am. And then, of course, ever growing in my walk with God, all those things together brought me to a point to where this is another center point moment where I can be proud of and hope that he can be proud of me, my parents can be proud of me, and this city and state can be proud of me.
Well, I'm glad that you got to make it through all of that to give us this book. I am super excited about it. If you don't know, I know now you do. After being at Book Festival all day, this is a pretty hot topic right now in the city of Jackson. Coming up after, there's a couple of parties, right? Tell them about it.
Yes. Y'all gone to the house, take a quick little shower, because I know y'all been outside, and then I want all of y'all to come to Hal and Miles. We are producing, our firm has produced the after party for the book festival for several years now, and hopefully we will continue to do that. It is called the Hot Fest Cool Down, and it is going to be a slamming show. Every artist that is in the book is performing tonight at Hal and Miles at 7:30. So y'all come out, and it is a free event. And now it's a ticketed event. If you didn't get a ticket, just say you with the Frascona Law Group, and you will get in. Remember that. Frascona
told you
that. I told you. Yes, from 5 to 6:30, we will be selling and signing books, but at 7:30, the greatest show on the face of the planet, and I want all y'all to be there.
Yeah, I will definitely be there. Kamel, if they wanted more information about you, about Jacktown, USA, give them all the websites.
Yes. You can go to me, FrasconaLawGroup.com, Emerald Tiger, AM, ArtistManagement.com, and so I'm all over the place doing all kind of things.
Yes.
And other than that, you can reach out to my publicist, Pam Confer. But yes, Kamel King on Instagram and Facebook. Reach out to me. I'd love to converse with you.
All right, everybody give Kamel a round of applause. I couldn't have every year. I just cannot ask for a better panel. I don't know if Ellen handpicks these books for me, but I am just in love with the books that sit on this panel. If you have a friend, tell them you went to the best panel and it was at 4 p.m. in this room right here. But again, Jacktown, USA, written by Kamel King and Joe Lee. Hometown, Mississippi, photographed and authored by none other than the best photographer we got here in the state, Melody Golding. And then Unpalatable, Stories of Pain and Pleasure in Southern Cookbooks. If you want a real read too, that's by Carrie, Helms, Tippen. If y'all have any questions, I'm going to open up the floor right now. You can ask either one of them or me anything, and we'll definitely tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So there you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm getting chill bumps even thinking about it. Not because it's such a rope. What's that?
Yeah, I could do it for him. It was about Robert Johnson and the fact that he went to the crossroads and sold his soul to the devil. So he was wanting Kamel to kind of give him a little bit of information about that and what all he knows, I guess, about that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I believe it really happened and that it's real. Number one, because God and Satan is real. That's number one. Number two, because you got eyewitnesses and people who knew him, who knew that he could not play. I mean, he sucked as a player. And then after that moment, he came back. I mean, it was like he had been taught for many, many years. And it was a technique that people could not imitate.
Wow.
So, and see, the good part about it is that it's a story that we can tell. The bad part about it is I really think it happened. And I really think his soul is probably not, and I hope And let me tell you something that is very eerie. I used to represent the estate and so I got very close with the family. And if you go to the Robert Johnson Museum in Crystal Springs, you see the last thing that he wrote as he was dying from being poisoned. Messing with somebody else's woman, and somebody poisoned his whiskey, and he literally got ate up from the inside out. And you see where he was scribbling as he was dying. He was scribbling the word of God. So I hope that he got saved before that happened, because I really do think he had sold his soul to the devil for that.
Well, that's
for
the
that
story
talent.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
That's the story.
yeah. They have the last thing he wrote before he passed, when he was gripped in just immense pain, being ate up from the inside of his stomach, and he was scribbling out the word of God.
Wow. Thank you for that question. I didn't even know that. He hadn't told me that in 3 years. No. We got any more questions? Selena! I know this person. Melody, you want to answer that?
Well, it's very easy to read my book, and that would be a good place to start for a young reader, because they would be attracted to the photographs first. And then when they read all of the positive comments about why people came back to Mississippi or live in Mississippi, it might, compel them to read other books about Mississippi.
Yeah.
And Mississippi's got a wonderful story to tell. I get very frustrated about all the negativity, but we really have a lot of good going on. And Jackson, absolutely, with this book festival, it's world-renowned.
Yeah. You know what I really think, too? I've been with Mississippi Public Broadcasting for about almost 8 years now, on the way back in. I was an intern at the age of 21, and then fast forward 20-something years later, I'm back. But being there and over the years of working with the education department, we would go out into rural cities and things like that, and we would have a box of books that we brought all the time, and they were free. And sometimes that would be all we would have to give away. We didn't have anything else. And the kids would stop by, and you'd ask them, and you say, "You want a book?" And it's free. And they say, "No, I don't want a book." And so what I think the Mississippi Book Festival does is it makes books cool again in a great way, in a large scale way. It's definitely a big pull for the city of Jackson. It's definitely a big pull for the state. I mean, we're literally known nationally for this book festival. And I think just because of that, it makes the kids want to say yes when somebody asks them, "Here, do you want a book?" And hopefully and prayerfully, when we go back out into rural communities, when I ask them, "Would you like a free book?" Like me, if you were to offer me as a child a free book, I would have probably have already taken one, and you are now giving me the second. Because last year when they asked me to be the moderator of the book festival, I said, "Oh, I used to steal books." Not like that, but I used to go to libraries and not bring them back, and borrow from the teachers and never put them back on the classroom shelf. Yeah, I'm a criminal.
Yeah.
But I would hope, and when the little kids would tell me no, I would be like, I was a criminal about these books, And so I really do appreciate the Mississippi Book Festival for really putting it on a stage that looks so cool and that just incorporates so many great people who have so many good books. I mean, kids were out there playing all day, looking at books, playing with toys, and just enjoying themselves without a tablet or a cell phone in their hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we won sometime, maybe today. We won a little bit, so.
Yeah.
That's to answer your question, Selena.
Selena.
We got any more? You got a question, Marissa? Okay. This is my coworker, Marissa Vaughn. Oh,
She's
hold on.
great.
No, you can't ask a question without getting introduced. She is the producer of Deep South Dining Monday mornings, 9 a.m. with Malcolm White and Carol Palmer. Did I say her last name right? She is also the producer and somewhat of a co-host Wednesday mornings, Fix It 101 with Pam Pybus, our home show. And then she's also the producer of Southern Remedy for Women, Friday mornings at 11 a.m. Okay, now you can ask your question.
Oh, I absolutely did. I absolutely did. I mean, this state is full of very beautiful towns in their own way. And if you go into it looking at it like that, not comparing it to big city life, I mean, you may not have restaurants and movie theaters and the opera and the symphony to go to. You live in these small towns, but you have other things. You have musicians that are around the corner. You have, writers like Dr. North. You have photographers, painters, cooks. I mean, there's no better cooking than in this state.
Yes, Lord.
And we offer things, and I think because we don't have all that extra stuff, it brings out the creativity in a lot of people. I mean, that's just, so, yeah, there are a lot of towns that I did not go to that I would like to go to, or I did go through them, but I didn't photograph them because you got to stop somewhere, I guess.
And we do need a second version of this book as well.
Yes.
Part two.
Oh, any more questions? We good? Well, that sums it right on up. Thank you so much for joining us for the Spirit of the South panel.